to this program, and we had a great conversation, and the other coaches and I, and we had a great conversation about an idea that he had and he brought to us, and I wanted to give him a chance to speak about it.
I get to spend a little bit of time here talking about my best friend, Dave Studzinski. I didn't think I'd do that. All right. I was talking to my wife, and I said, I'd like to put something together. Maybe I could talk to Tony. He'd allow me to say a few things about my buddy Dave. And she said, hey, I think that'd be a real good idea. You ought to call Tony, and Tony was all for it. And I said, well, what if I start out sharing some stories about our high school days? And Jen said, man, I've heard a few of those stories. I don't think you should repeat them. I said, all right. I said, well, what about some of our days at Ohio State? She said, man, there's going to be children there. Dave's mother might be there. I don't know if that's a good idea. And I said, okay, how about the day I met Dave? And she heard that story and she thought that one was okay. We were about 11 or 12. We were playing Little League. Dave played two positions for the opposing team. He was a first baseman and he was a pitcher. Dave was about as tall now as he was when he was 11 or 12. And I was probably pushing 4 foot. And I remember that when Dave played first base, he was an imposing figure. He had this plan that what he would do is straddle first base so you couldn't get to first base. So you could literally hit a ball to the outfield and you were struggling to get to first base. He even got worse when he was on the mound. Even though it was Little League, word got out, and it was basically, I don't know of anyone that ever got a hit off of Dave. When he threw the ball over the plate, which was rare, you couldn't hit it. It was coming from a 6'1" or 2" guy straight down, couldn't hit it. But he was wild, and really wild. I remember my head coach, just a great Little League coach. He'd always look at each player when they came out of the dugout and went to the plate, and he would always say a few words of wisdom. He'd say things like, watch the ball as it comes out of their hand, or he'd look right at me and say, stay in there, lay off the high pitch. And I remember the first time that I went out to face this tall left-hander, and he looked at me and he put both hands on the side of my helmet, and he said, does the helmet fit okay? It was frightening. That's when I met Dave. Somehow we became friends. I was the best man at his wedding. That was within a day or so of the birth of all 3 of his children. Dave is a bit obsessive compulsive. I like to say he's passionate about things. If you saw his automobiles, you would know that he's passionate about how clean they are. A long time ago, Dave and I took a fishing trip to Michigan. Dave decided that he was going to start fishing. Within a year or 2, he had bought a boat. He then followed it up with a lake house. Then he bought another lake. And just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, my wife and I, with Dave and Stacy, went on a little lakeside little weekend trip. Well, Dave had enrolled us into a fishing tournament. And we had to get up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. And we had to drag, I don't know, Travis, DJ, Kelsey, maybe 14 poles and reels into the boat. If you took an aerial view of our boat, it literally looked like a spider web. It was then consistent with this passionate behavior of his. I remember getting a call from Dave stating that Jody was dating a young man that was playing hockey down in Cincinnati. And I had a mild interest in hockey. And I thought, heck, sure, we'll do this. So we go down to watch Steph play hockey, and I should have known what it would lead to. It wasn't that many years later, I hear that DJ, all of 6 or 7 years old, is going to play hockey. I didn't even know you could do that. And then his little brother, Travis, what are you, 3 or 4 at this time, is going to play hockey. And it has come through the years that I have been in Strongsville, I've been in Toledo, I have followed these guys around in hockey, and it's incredible how much time and effort and enjoyment you guys have put into this. I was reading a book, I guess it was probably 2 weeks ago. And in this book, the author had talked about going to a women's Grand Slam tennis event. And it was a special event because what they were doing is they were bringing out some young ladies that were very impactful to the game of tennis. And they would bring out a young lady that was impactful in the 50s, and there would be a polite round of applause, and then there would be a young lady or two in their 60s and a little bit more applause. And then it went through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and when it got to the young ladies of the 2000 year, the applause had grown into it, literally a standing ovation. And the author made the point that, through time, we have a tendency to allow things to fade, or we just start to forget. And I remember looking at it, reading that, and the first thing that I thought of was, we're not letting this one go. Now, we got to remember what, in my opinion, has been the most probably impactful person to Springboro hockey. So what I decided to do was develop a scholarship. And I called some local business people, and I said, how would you like to contribute a little bit for the David Studzinski Scholarship? And people, it wasn't difficult, let me tell you that, Dave. It was a breeze. And I remember that one of the persons that I called, Nick Poe from South Metro Ice, said, oh my gosh, I'm in. This guy has done more for hockey in this area than I could ever imagine. In fact, he said, what I want to do is I've got to figure out some way to come up with some sort of a plaque or a sticker or something on that one spot of the ice where Dave always stands. And he said, I'm putting it right there. And as I started to talk to the different people, they all basically said the same thing. They just said, wow, what this guy has done for this program is amazing. And one of the things that I wanted to do was, again, you've got your 3 children here, and your wife here, your mother here, sister, you have built a legacy, and just what this passion has done is amazing. Real quick, there's one person that I thought that you should hear from that couldn't make it here tonight. I don't know how it works either.
This message is to thank you for all your effort and time that you have put into this program. Personally, I'd like to thank you and your family, as well as relatives, for taking me in and considering me family, and supporting me not just on the ice, but also off the ice. The Springboro hockey program has grown and improved in more than talent alone, and I'm sure it is thanks to you and your effort and friends and everyone else who spends their time and commits to this program. Thank you very much.
That was sped. And I don't know, but I guess he might have been the first Studzinski-like to go through this banquet and this award ceremony. But now I'm going to hand it over to Tony, because we're going to present the scholarship, and if Dave would come up.
To figure out who we wanted to give it to, and we talked, and remember, it's not about the most valuable player, it's about the guy who is very passionate for the game, one of your best teammates, and they're going to use this as they go forward, they go to school and be successful, and then hopefully come back and contribute back to the program, and the winner of that is Connor Herman.